Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Dish Shelter Confusion Thursday Night Hangout.
What's up? It's Thursday, and we're back.
I, of course, am your host, Charlie, and I'm joined once again by the prolific comer himself, Zealeus.
Greetings and salutations, good sir. How goes it?
It goes. Ladies and gentlemen, this, of course, is the Thursday Night Hangout. It's a live show where we try our best to cover the topics most important to you during the show. If at any point during the show you have any topics, thoughts, comments, concerns, drop them in the chat and we will add it to the show. If we do unfortunately run out of time, we will add it to the very next show. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's jump into it. And of course, what we have to do first is Zealeus has survived DragonCon. So tell us, what was DragonCon like this year?
DragonCon was DragonCon! I mean, it's 5 hotels in downtown Atlanta, although we stayed at one like right next to downtown, where it's just 5 hotels of a combination of panels, which I actually think I went to the most panels in my life this year. Drinking, if that's your thing. Lots of people watching, lots and lots of people watching, and concerts and shows. And just being around really phenomenal, crazy good cosplay and people who are into the same geeky things. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And sometimes it's like the little things in life, right? Like people are like, what is your favorite memory? So I remember taking the sky bridges of downtown. Well, as you can imagine, like on a Saturday or Friday or Sunday night, they're absolutely packed. So we're walking one of the sky bridges last night. Not last night, but one of the nights. And so we're going this way, and coming the opposite way was this group. So a lot of people do like group cosplay. This is a group from Lord of the Rings who are doing the techno version. They're taking the habits to Isengard. And so they're coming down. They get everyone in the entire sky bridge chanting this as they're coming down the opposite way. It was absolutely hysterical. So like, obviously stuff like just happen like that in a normal day. So sometimes it's just like the fun things like that. That stand out. The things that stand out is it's more crazy than ever. Saturday, like Sunday was actually more enjoyable from a people watching perspective because Saturday was just so many damn people where you honestly like couldn't even move in the hotels.
Did you go to the parade?
I haven't been in a parade in a couple of years, honestly. I actually went to a panel during the parade about using CAD, computer-aided design, in your cosplay. So that's what I did during the parade. But yeah, during that, and it's tricky because there's good and bad. Like, so it's so many people's part of the charm of DragonCon, right? It's just that type of convention. But it also creates a lot of mobility issues. So like the 2 people I was with in the hotel, they had a 4-year-old infant who they ended up just doing away with the cart, not the cart, but the thing you put the baby in, the baby stroller, the baby stroller. To like walk around because like you just couldn't navigate with it because there's so many people, which I felt bad then for the people who like are in wheelchairs or mobility impaired. Because especially like in the vendor hall, like specifically, like there's just not room to move. And so it's like, if you're then having like, you know, legitimately need to sit down often or be in a wheelchair or whatnot, like it just creates a really rough situation. But at the same time, like that whole cluster of people is kind of part of what DragonCon is in a way. So it's a tricky thing. And you also have to keep in mind all the volunteers are unpaid volunteers. So you're also expecting, you know, these unpaid volunteers who are giving up their time to also have these rules down packed because there's always issues with compliance. There's always line issues. We only stayed in one long line. It was for the Harry Potter panel, which was good. But then there was also a panel for the hobbits, like the real hobbits.
As opposed to fake hobbits?
Not the chant of the hobbits going to Isengard, but like actually, I never remember actors' names. I'm terrible with their names, but the actual like Frodo and them. They were there. And then also, the guy from Castle.
Nathan Fillion.
Yes, thank you. Nathan Fillion and something Turek. Adam
Turek.
So like apparently both of them had ridiculous lines.
Oh, I bet.
To the point where like people were there's an rule according to the DragonCon rules where you can't form a line more than an hour ahead of time.
Uh-oh.
People are literally standing in line 2.5 hours ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
A volunteer comes by, it's like, yo, you can't be in this line. And then all of a sudden, okay. And then now there's a new line forming and it's just giant clusterfuck. I know that happened with Baldur's Gate 3 voice panel is also there.
Mm-hmm.
And like, apparently they filled up the entire ballroom an hour before the panel actually started, even though the line's not supposed to start more than an hour before the panel starts.
Of course.
So like, there's a lot of big panel line issues at DragonCon. It's been that way for a while. It's not like it's a new thing this year. So it's always, it's kind of good and bad with conventions. Like the good, there's the good part, the fun parts we enjoy, but then there's always the hiccups of things that happen also.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I'm surprised about is, so I was with the group, they all got COVID. Apparently I'm the only one who didn't get COVID. And I don't know how, because I figured working from home, not being around germs, that like I would have the worst immune system.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow I got off scot-free. But yes, I mean, if you like the DragonCon type of things, it was another DragonCon. It was fun. I ran into some old friends. I know much I ran into Blaine, Snakes in a Plane. We were it was actually Saturday night, one of those packed hotels.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to leave at like 11:30. I turn around and it takes me a second, like, I think I know you. Blaine! Like 75,000 people, you happen to run into one of them. And I ran into an old high school friend at the vendor hall.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you just run into like random people that you don't expect either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen.
It happens. But yeah, it was good stuff. Good stuff indeed.
Good. One of these days I will sneak down and try to find a way for my kids to at least see the parade.
It's definitely, I think, worth coming for the parade.
Yeah.
You would want to get there at least an hour ahead of time to find a spot on the line. But yeah, no, I've been to the parade a couple of times. That's why I don't go, because I don't care as much.
Yeah.
It also didn't help that this year that it was like record highs for Labor Day weekend.
Yep.
Like if it was cooler, I probably would have been like, sure, I'll stand outside for an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't feel like it.
Understood.
So
Understood.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense.
But yeah, the nice thing is you can take Marta down to the Peachtree station, and Marta station's literally on the parade line.
Good to know.
That's anyone who wants to go to the parade, that would definitely be the recommendation. Do not try to drive down there and park for the parade.
No, God, no.
No, that's a bad idea.
Yes, very bad, very bad. All right. So, Zealeus, I'm assuming you're going back to DragonCon 2025?
Oh, yeah, DragonCon 2025. I will be there.
Now, as I don't know how many people know this or not, but Zealeus has got a thing where he does a Doctor Who cosplay, but he branched out this time.
I actually did branch out for like the first time. So the group I was with, we went from the Scooby-Doo, so I was Fred, with my magic trap book to hide my trap of poison wine.
Very nice.
And then also the shooter, the Turkish shooter who got the
silver.
The silver. First time I've ever done a hair dye in my life. I was at the vendor hall. I actually found a hat I wanted, but with my hair dyed, I couldn't actually like try on the hat to be like, does this actually like fit or whatnot? But
right.
I didn't do it that badly, so I was fine. And I wasn't going to stand in the line again to get into the hall because it's ridiculous.
Yes.
But the last thing is, so every year I go, I'm like, I have enough artwork involving cats.
You got more.
And I'm running out of wall space, frankly. And every year I go, either somebody, hint, hint, wink, wink, finds one for me, or I see one and I'm like, damn it, I have to get that.
Yep.
Once again, I saw one at the art show where I saw him like, it's cat artwork. I have to get it. It's awesome.
You know,
I mean, there's worse things I could be spending my money on.
this is true. This is true.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. All right. Now, unfortunately, we'll move on from DragonCon for now.
It will forever live on in our hearts.
But the next story that I believe Zealeus is the one who posted this. It deals with Star Wars Outlaws, which apparently some people are saying a really good game, but apparently the patch 1.000.002 is apparently screwing people over if you're a PlayStation 5 player.
I honestly forgot about that because that was like even before DragonCon, and it's destroyed most of my brain cells. But for what I recall, is basically if you had an early not like indie early access where you're playing like 6 months ahead, but it's like the 3-day early access version where you're paying pretty decent chunk of change to play like a couple days early. It's like a head start basically. They patched on the PS5, and that patch potentially broke your entire save play. And it sucks because like if it's true early access, then I'm kind of like, well, that's what's early access. But like what's an early head start, that's pretty crappy to have at that point, especially when you're paying a not insignificant amount of money to play early. That sucks. And that's the always patching kind of video game world we live in, it seems like, where shit always be broken on release.
Yes.
I mean, that's just kind of the way it seems.
Now, this is an official statement that was released to best experience the Outer Rim. We rolled out a maintenance to make sure everyone is playing the latest version of the game. As one of the players affected who had access to an older version of the game, we are aware you might be encountering some issues after this recent patch. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused. Once you've confirmed you have the latest version, please start a new save to fully enjoy Star Wars Outlaws as our team intended. If you continue on a prior save, you will unfortunately face issues and progression blockers.
I love how the apps take like absolutely zero responsibility in the process.
It's like, well, the truth is that we monkeyed. Basically, what it says is they monkeyed around with the save file and added some stuff or subtracted some stuff, and so your save file no longer matches up.
I almost felt like at some point they're going to be like, and by the way, it's actually your fault for playing too early. If you just waited a few hours, it would have been fine.
Exactly. If you just waited with the regular people, you wouldn't be having this issue.
It's really your fault. It's not our fault screwing up the save play. Yeah.
So, so I guess that leads into...
which I've heard is a good game. Like, apparently it's a pretty good game, if that's your thing.
Yes, that's what I've heard, and it's a tempting game on my peripheral. But unfortunately, I am just stuck so deep into No Man's Sky, which, by the way, they just released a new piece of the game. Ladies and gentlemen, you can now go fishing in No Man's Sky.
Fishing? How exciting is this fishing?
I don't know. I haven't tried it yet. I've been too busy trying to pilfer planets of valuable resources.
Nice.
I'll get to fishing. Don't worry. I'm only 50 hours into the game for the second time.
That's okay. At DragonCon, I was pretty much talked into you actually really should play Baldur's Gate 3. So, especially with how many damn people cosplay from Baldur's Gate 3.
It is a phenomenon.
Well, so it was that, and then it's the Netflix anime, Azkaban's Hotel.
Oh, it's not Netflix. It's Amazon Prime.
It's Amazon Prime. Sorry, yeah.
I can't remember that. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
That's bothering me. I have to look it up. Has Been Hotel.
Yep.
Yeah, that was like those two are probably the most popular.
Speaking of Baldur's Gate 3, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to pick it up for 20% off, it is there is a deal on Steam until September 9th. So instead of paying the $60, you can get it for $48.
Which game?
Baldur's Gate 3.
No, are you sure?
Yeah.
Damn it! I looked the other day. It was still full price.
No.
So
They just put it on.
I know, and I was like, save. I don't have to buy it. And now I see it. Damn it.
Yeah, I just got an email, I think yesterday, going, hey, by the way, Baldur's Gate 3, along with 4 other games in your wish list, are now on sale. I'm like, you son of a bitch.
Well, shit. I know what I'm buying and going to be playing very shortly. I know what I'm doing this weekend.
Yes. Now, speaking of games that we've been putting off or perhaps have been living in our hearts or in our regrets for many years. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been announced that there is going to be an HD bundle for Suikoden 1 and 2 coming out on the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series XS, Nintendo Switch, and PC. That will, of course, be happening on March 6, 2025. So there's still some time, but my wallet will immediately become lighter on that day.
I was going to ask if you're going to get them, and that is the answer.
Yeah.
You know, so every time I go to like a convention, I always try to look for like the used gameplay system. Like, do you have Suikoden 2, man? And did you know?
Yeah.
Do you have it? I'm not going to buy it. I just want to take a picture. So send it to a buddy.
And make me cry.
But that's one game that like nobody honestly has.
Yes, I know.
I guess
I almost had
it.
Anyways.
So question, do you have Baldur's Gate 3?
No, I do not.
Oh.
I almost died. If I wasn't so invested into No Man's Sky right now, I would have probably been playing Baldur's Gate 3.
Fair enough.
But here's the funny thing, and it makes no sense. It's not like I'm really advancing in the game right now. It's more just it's very relaxing to go from planet to planet and kill some things and harvest some stuff and then mess around with your ship or whatever. I'm literally just treading water, but it's very therapeutic.
That's fair. Yeah, no, sometimes that's what's needed. It's like I've been playing, I got back into Diablo 4.
Yes.
And I've been playing a face roll easy character with it's an incinerate. It's just like the flamethrower build.
Mm-hmm.
Most RPGs I don't play because it's kind of boring, honestly.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's what you need. Sometimes you just need a class where you just press a button and you just destroy everything on the screen and it feels good.
What, you didn't want to go with the sorcerer build that brings down servers?
Honestly, I tried it and I got bored of it. It just wasn't fun.
Yeah, I figure.
Yeah.
Anyways. Okay, so let's talk about some games that aren't doing well.
Oh, dear.
Let's start.
Wait.
Yes, Zealeus.
If nobody has the game installed, does it actually exist? Ask that first.
This game has been installed, and now it's already 2 weeks after its launch, it's already being shut down. And that game would be Concord by Firewalk Studios. They are doing a mass refund for individuals who bought Concord for the PlayStation 5 and PC and are exploring options that will better reach their players.
Hooray! It's honestly a game that I only know exists because it was so shat upon release of how bad it is, I guess.
Yes, the game came out. It's a first-person hero shooter launched exclusively on the PlayStation 5 and PC that was launched August 23rd. But it sold under 25,000 units and only managed to hit a peak of 697 users on Steam.
It was also a paid $40 game from what I recall, which doesn't help.
Yes.
Because let's be honest, the looter hero genre, it's a free-to-play genre.
Yeah.
Like with Overwatch and Valorant and those games, that's just what it is right now. I think Call of Duty's a paid game, but that's like a different class of shooter. Is it paid? I don't actually play Call of Duty.
It is.
Okay, yes. But like that's a different game. But if you're gonna be like in that Overwatch Valorant type of genre, like you just gotta be free to play, especially with a unknown entity. You're just not gonna break into it. Unless it happens to be like the absolute best thing on the face of the planet, which apparently this was not.
Yep.
Because from what I saw, it was basically like in 6 years of production hell.
8 years.
And like 8 years of production hell, and revamped itself and redid a whole bunch of stuff. And it just, I mean, hey, at least they refunded everyone who bought it.
Yes.
Like, who knows if that had to happen, but they did. And of course, they're going to relaunch it supposedly in like 6 months to a year. I think you said that.
Yes, and it's going to go to free to play.
See what happens there.
Microtransaction out the butt.
I've seen that happen over the last year or two with other games I've tried, where like early access or early release happens, or the game gets released, nobody plays it.
Yep.
And then they pull it with the promise that they're going to release it in 6 months to a year and be revamped. So I definitely seen that a couple times. Usually they're free to play games I've seen it with. So it's kind of interesting that this is a paid game where naturally you have to go to free to play. So yay.
Yeah, as Zealeus was alluding to, this game was going up against free play games such as Overwatch 2 and Valorant. No one was going to give it $40 to give it a shot.
I can't imagine why.
Yes, I have no idea either. It's very odd.
Yeah.
How confusing. So strange.
So I guess I'll mark that off my wish list.
Yeah. If it was actually anywhere on my wish list, which it was not.
Definitely not. Yeah. I do wonder, like, when a game like that is released, like pre-release, like, does the company know it's going to be such a bomb? Like, do they do certain? I would imagine that the lower on the executive ring they are, meaning like QA kind of at the bottom, and then developers, and then your guys above that, that like your QA developers probably kind of knew how terrible it was going to be, because like they're the ones actually who probably play video games, or like have some understanding of like if it's good or not.
Well, I mean, and you would think that there is a game that came out that went straight up against big name free to play titles and had a price tag on it. It was released in 2019. And I don't think it actually lasted all that long. Maybe.
What game?
Anthem.
Oh yeah, and that was from a big company.
Yep.
I do wish that Anthem had made it, because it could have been, with the style of looter shooter it was, a cool entry into the genre. Obviously, it didn't. But still, and more so, I wish BioWare had done something good, but alas, it was not meant to be. We'll just have to see what the magical new Mass Effect ends up being. Which I saw one of their panels from the voice actors at DragonCon.
Nice.
Yes.
So, Anthem technically is still around. BioWare continues to support it. I don't know in what capacity it still exists, but if you go to the website, it still allows you to get Anthem.
Oh, wow. Good to know. I don't think I'll be playing it, but in case I ever feel like playing it, I know that.
Yes. Woo! Yay. I love it. It's like, play Anthem now on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4.
They don't even mention the PS5 or Xbox Series.
Nope.
That's nice.
Yep.
That hasn't been updated in a while.
Yeah, sure, yeah. So
it is always interesting to me one like that where like I know it's EA, so they want to keep it in their own store.
Yeah.
But like at a certain point, I'm surprised they didn't just release it to Steam, be like, screw it, just get as many players as we can and see what happens.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that can kind of get a game re-resurrected.
Yes.
But I think Anthem's well past that point.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks cool. And from what I heard, like it actually had a really good skeleton, just no soul.
Which unfortunately a lot of games have that.
Yeah. I was gonna say just like the other space game.
Starfield.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
The more I play No Man's Sky, I gotta say it is exactly Starfield, but without like you don't talk to people who speak your language. That's literally it.
Is that a good or bad thing?
But on the flip side, ironically, one of my biggest gripes about Starfield was the fact that certain types of characters, certain NPCs had the same lines they would say, like the same 4 lines they would say over and over and over again, just with different voices.
Yep.
And No Man's Sky, one of the bigger components about No Man's Sky is that you're having to learn these 3 languages, and so you have to try to meet as many characters as possible, and then ask them for a language lesson, and you could slowly kind of piece together their language one word at a time. And they've got so many more. Yes, it's not spoken. You have to read it, but they have so many more random dialogue things that you get presented with.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah. Anyways. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pause real quick to thank the individuals who help Alter Confusion be the Alter Confusion that you love and adore, and those, of course, are the friends of the show. And to start it off, we are going to go with the Indie Cluster. The Indie Cluster is an organization of independent game developers that want to gain exposure by being involved in the community. They collectively journey to popular conferences as a traveling booth to help gain attention for their games. They make partnerships in local communities to bring games to the mainstream mindset. They highlight local, unusual, and rare concepts to challenge the paradigm of the common. They also host events to teach kids and minority groups about game development to hopefully one day enter the industry themselves. For more information, go to indiecluster.com. The next one we got to do the shout out for is for the AV master himself, and unfortunately, he apparently is not doing AWA for the first time since 2016, which is crazy. And that, of course, is Noodle Boy Media, founded in 2015 by Andrew Tram. Noodle Boy Media, previously Wacky 47 Media, is your choice for professional photo shoots and panel recordings at conventions. They pride themselves in providing a high level of professionalism, top-notch experiences, and quality services. If you want more information and to view their full list of services, check out facebook.com/noodleboymedia. The next shout-out I got to give is to an individual who is actually at my house today to help ease some of the aches and pains from my back for sitting too long in front of a computer, and that, of course, is Hero Chiropractic. Hero Chiropractic's unique healthcare practice set up by Ryan Moore, the company's focus to elevate a patient's experience of freedom, creative expression, and joy. They believe that everyone can be a hero and has incredible heroic potential inside themselves waiting to be unleashed. Hero Chiropractic focuses on mobile chiropractic care in the Greater Atlanta area. They are committed to healing clients by creating a plan of action uniquely suited for each person. They make that plan of action as convenient and affordable as possible, and most importantly, suited to your individual needs. For more information, go to herochiropractic.com. And just a side note, it's not just for dudes. It's for dudes and ladies and kids, because my son gets adjusted every single time I get adjusted. So if you are in the Greater Atlanta area, you definitely need to get hooked up with Hero Chiropractic. The next shout out we got to give is to CrossPad Creative. Need a new logo or want to work on a full branding and content strategy? Or maybe you need music or audio for your content, just like Alter Confusion? CrossPad Creative offers a whole host of solutions for individuals and small businesses. Just email Josh at crosspadcreative@gmail.com and see what he can do for you. And if his workload would ever slow down, he would actually have a website. But he is a very, very busy man. And the final shout out we got to give is to the original backer of Ultra Confusion when we went over to Patreon. That, of course, is Agile Axiom. By day, Axe leads both a development team and system administration team working with satellites at NASA's Goddard campus. But while not in meetings and many times during, he is the Agile evangelist Agile Axe, championing the philosophy of Agile and trying to make the world a better place for software developers, testers, system admins, and software projects the world over. Decades of experience in software development and leading Agile teams are brought to bear against evil processes, inefficient work, and bad habits. For more information, go to agileaxiom.com. Now, at this very moment in time, ladies and gentlemen, I know that you are dying to know, how do I become a friend of the show? Well, it's quite simple, my friend. I will tell you right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Ultra Confusion survives and loves support of fans like you, and that's why we have a Patreon page. Patreon lets you, the fans, lovers, haters, demigods, interdimensional beings, gods, demons, aliens, werewolves, swamp creatures, mummies, vampires, supporters, and more become active participants in the work we love through a monthly membership. This gives you access to exclusive content, community, and insight into our creative process. In exchange, we gain a bit more freedom to do our best work and the stability we need to build an even stronger creative career. We currently have two tiers. That's two tiers. The first tier is $1 a month. That's $1 a month or $12 a year. What you get at that one is early access to all the playthroughs, as well as the ability to participate in patron-only posts. Now, if you're feeling a little bit frisky, you can go up to the $5 a month. That's $5 a month or $60 a year. What you get is everything at the $1 tier, but you also gain your name or organization added to the Friends of the Show section of every single Thursday night hangout. So if you want to become a patron of Ultra Confusion, go to Patreon. That's patreon.com/alteredconfusion today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's be serious here for a second and remind everyone that we do something very passionately, and we're going to continue to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, for the 13th year straight, Ultra Confusion is proud to say that we'll be fundraising for Extra Life. Extra Life is gamers doing what they do best, game, to help sick and injured children at their chosen Children's Miracle Network Hospital. The money we raise through Extra Life will go directly to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta as unrestricted funds. This means that the hospital decides where and how to spend the money to ensure the dollars we raise make the biggest impact in the lives of the kids they treat. So if you have the capacity to donate, please go to extra-life.org and search for Altered Confusion. Now, I know that I sometimes forget to do this shout out, so I'm going to remember it this time. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that some of you want to know, how do I get some sweet Ultra Confusion swag? Perhaps like a hat, which I do not have on me today, or perhaps you would like a coffee cup or coffee mug, whatever you want to pronounce that, or a food bowl for your animals, or a journal, or flip-flops, or a vinyl sticker. You can get all of that over at alteredconfusion.tv/merch. It is pretty sweet, if I say so myself. And of course, as always, if you want to maybe, how do I say this? So you could go to twitch.tv/alteredconfusion to watch all of our shows, or you could go to alteredconfusion.tv, and it's basically the same thing, and also will let you hook up with the merch. It'll also allow you to do one-time donations. If that's how you want to do it, instead of doing a monthly donation through Patreon, you can also do it through there. So,
holy shit, that also streams? I didn't know that. I always just went straight to /merch.
Yes, no, I've been meaning to actually explain that if you just go to alteredconfusion.tv, you get the full experience plus a little extra stuff. So,
wow, you learn something new every day, sir.
I know.
All right. But it's not obvious where on here the merch is.
Yes, I know. I'm going to see if I could change the layout. It's a button somewhere. All right.
Okay, so it's not just me. I'm not just being totally stupid.
No. There's the layout needs to change. The layout on a lot of things needs to change. How about that? Before Zealeus goes down this rabbit hole, let's go on to let's go on to our next topic, shall we?
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am sad to say, we just talked about Concord going offline, But there's another game that is going to go offline soon, and that is the highly anticipated Bandai Namco MMO Blue Protocol. They were being, I believe the publisher was Amazon Games. Yes. Amazon Games was the publisher. They are in the process of shutting the game. It had never been released to the West, which if you're in North America, you in the West. The decision was made to basically shut it down because the developer found that it was not possible to provide a service that would satisfy the players. I was actually really looking forward to this one, which makes me sad.
So was I. I have been following this damn game for like a couple of years now because it's been in Japan for a while.
Yes.
And like it looked fun.
Yep.
And so, yeah, when I saw that Amazon was going to be doing the westernization, and then I didn't quite follow the whole like transition to Bamkai and whatever there, but it seemed like around 3 or 4 months ago is when the rumors started to happen.
Yep.
Of like, is this going to happen?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's kind of sad actually, like because it seemed like it was a decent like anime style MMO in that genre.
Yep.
A little bit more on the kind of hardcore side of things versus like a hunky Star Rail or basically all the Hoyoverse games. Whereas this was a little bit more intense and not quite so mobile friendly. So yeah, no, I was sad because I was definitely looking forward to this game. For me, it was definitely a game I would have been trying pretty much day zero. But that's obviously not happening now.
Well, it was originally released in Japan back in June of 2023. It launched to over 600,000 players and had a concurrent player count of 200,000. But apparently, the numbers, I don't know what it kind of settled at over in Japan, but apparently the numbers just were not where Bandai Namco wanted them. And so they basically said that they came to the conclusion that it was not possible to provide a service that satisfies all the players, and that they deeply apologize for the sudden announcement of the cancellation of the game. The game will be shuttering in Japan January 18th, 2025. So you still have, where are we in September, October, November, December. So individuals in Japan who are lucky enough to actually get the game a try will have 3 months left to, soak up all that is the game. Now the question is, I wonder what will happen. Like, are they gonna? I mean, is it like dead, or is there a potential for some sort of resurrection? Who knows? Like, hopefully we'll find out.
It is interesting where a game, it's tricky though, because you think about it, like, because it's a Japan only release.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to get a whole lot of like Western news about the game.
Right.
So like I've seen, footage clips and it looks good, but it's really hard to know, like, what is the replayability of the game? What is the end game?
Right.
Like, what does it really look like? It's really hard to gauge.
Right.
Without actually seeing like a Western version of the release. But again, it's always interesting where like a game gets that far in release and just doesn't get released. Like, I wouldn't think, I know I'm naive here, maybe, but like in the grand scheme of production cost, how much does it cost to Westernize a game? Because I would think like you're just basically adding English assets where they don't exist. And at that point, hell, just turn off voiceover if you already have subtitles. And that way you're just doing subtitles in English.
Right.
And just like, yeah, I mean, it can't be any worse than like Anthem.
It always comes back to Anthem.
Yeah. So it is, yeah. I mean, I guess that's always the risk you take is like, do you put all that effort into it?
Right.
And you do get a game like Anthem where it just falls flat on its
Flat.
flat on its face when it releases.
Right.
And if they're already predicting that, then it's kind of like, why even put forth that effort in the first place?
Right. Right.
But yeah, it is kind of a bummer. I was definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah. So let's see here. To go on to the opposite side of a bummer. Speaking of MMOs, there is an MMO, and I know I'm early because the actual anniversary isn't until November the 23rd, so I'm like a month and a half beforehand. But as I was reading about Blue Protocol, I did come across the fact that November the 23rd, 2024 will be year 20 for World of Warcraft.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, like there's not even a like drip of a rumor about World of Warcraft 2.
Yeah.
And I guess in a weird way you could look at it is like you have basically WoW 1 and WoW Classic, and this is like WoW 2 in a kind of roundabout way because you do have the 2 tracks.
Yeah.
But it's like the way it's going, I could see another 20 years where it's like they're celebrating, honestly, the 40th anniversary of WoW. Like, it's not slowing down. And I think you've showed, like, we see in both the World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy 14, that you can have a very successful, like, fantasy theme park MMO. There's only so many in the marketplace you can have. I mean, there's a reason that maybe, like, Blue Protocol is not going to come out, is there's only so many gamers to play these type of MMO games. But I could easily see a world where both like, you know, WoW and Final Fantasy 14 are still around in 20 years. And like, obviously World of Warcraft has had engine improvements over the years. This current expansion, Dawn Trail for Final Fantasy 14, a big part of their initiative has been graphical improvements to the interface, to the assets. So it's like you can still release continued MMOs while improving the engine. I think the hard part is maybe it's easy for theme park MMOs like a WoW and a Final Fantasy 14. You can continue to get new players, but the hard part you really get into is like, I don't know about World of Warcraft, but the experience from a level 1, assume you're not let's just assume you're not doing like one of those level 1 to 90 power-ups or whatever. If you're going through the full main story quest from level 1 up to the end of Dawn Trail, you're like hundreds of hours of gameplay.
Yep.
Like the free offering that they allow, I think it goes up through now the one past Stormblood. So that's the one before Endwalker. So many damn expansions, I can't remember their names. Like you're talking like 200 to 300 hours of gameplay, like for free gameplay. And the issue, and the thing is, that's pretty damn daunting, honestly, as a player. Where
Heaven
it's
Sword,
like
Stormblood, Shadowbringers,
Shadowbringer, yeah. So I think it goes up through Shadowbringer through the free trial. There's other limitations, probably with like backpack and shit, but like you can play the entire game for free for like literally hundreds of hours.
Yep.
But at the same time, if you're a video game player, it's also like, I really want to spend hundreds of hours. Like I remember at the end of Shadowbringer, I basically played, starting with Heavenwards, almost nonstop just to get to Endwalker on Endwalker release because I heard how awesome it was. Like that's like over a year's worth of gameplay just to get through like 3 expansions. And that's not including the base game of Realm Reborn. So like, that's the difficult part of these MMOs is how much it requires. That's a big issue with Destiny 2. That's why I don't even try that. Like, I enjoy playing Destiny 2, but everything I read about Destiny 2 is that literally, if you have not played it in years, don't even try.
Yeah.
It's just not even worth getting into at this point in life. So that's the good and bad is you can have all this lore and history, and that's what made Endwalker so phenomenal. But at the same time, there is that worry at some point it's going to be so top heavy where how do you even get new players interested in your game?
Right.
Because there's so much to catch up on where it's like, no, I'm good. Like I could play one MMO, or I could play like literally 10 other games in that same time span. So it's a challenge, but yeah, it's always going to be hard to do a follow-up like Final Fantasy 14 version 2 or a WoW 2. Yeah.
Well, I think at this point, when you're talking about like Destiny 2 or trying to do like a WoW or Final Fantasy 14 from the beginning to catch up, it's at this point it is if you're gonna do it by yourself, don't. But if you have like a diehard group of people who are willing to start from the beginning and venture forth, and you have this camaraderie and you got other people pushing you, then yeah, sure, because you're all you're getting more than just the game.
Yeah,
but
I could see that.
I mean, I probably should not have started playing No Man's Sky by myself, but I tell you what, there's a lot more in the game now than there was when I first played it many years ago.
So it's No Man's Sky. Are you interacting with people when you're playing?
Potentially I can when you go into the anomaly.
Okay.
There's like basically an instanted space hub that there's this thing called the Nexus, and the Nexus hands out quests, and you can party, I think, with up to 4 other individuals to try to complete the quest. Now, most of the quests you could do solo, but I did find out the hard way that there are certain quests that may sound simple, but when you actually try to do it, they put like 6 waves of enemies on you, and the next thing you know, it would have been a much better idea if you had gone in a party and not tried to solo it, because there's just too many enemies that will swarm you.
So that's like, speaking of games like that, so I tried Helldivers 2.
Which, by the way, they're back to mostly negative reviews again.
I guess democracy doesn't win. By the way, there's something about Helldivers 2 cosplays where I guess if someone is going to do a Helldiver 2 cosplay, it's going to be phenomenal. Like every single Helldiver 2 cosplay was exceptional. I saw, and there was quite a few of them. It's not like it was just like 3 random people. No, it's like entire squadrons of these mofos going like all out with Warblow. It was really good. But like what I've learned is I'm not big into, and I did this with another game. I remember what it was, where it's like those purely squadron based PvE games. They're just not for me. Like I think you've mentioned this in the past, where like I want to have, if I can join with other people, great. But if I want to like try it solo, make sure I understand, and like that's why I like First Descendant is like you could do it solo, you could figure it out, and then jump in with people if you want to. And that's my like Left 4 Dead. I know it was a super popular game, but that's why I never got into it. It was like that squadron-based type of zombie fighter game. So a game that's apparently really well received, Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2. And that's my issue, guys. I haven't quite figured out, because it's killing lots of hordes of big bad things, and a basically third-party shooter sounds awesome. And everything I've read is the combat is phenomenal, but still haven't quite figured out if it's like a Helldiver 2 type of situation where basically you have to do it in squadrons or just not going to work. And if it is that case, now the thing is, it's also a Warhammer game, which means they're going to have 80 DLCs. So I'm not going to buy it anyways until it comes out with the Emperor Saves edition, like 3 years from now with all the DLCs. But that's always my thing. Like, I don't want to be forced into those squadron types off the bat.
Right. I agree. Yeah. Of course, thinking about PvE games where potentially you could be in a squad, but you can also fly solo. I always go all the way back in time to the Defiance MMO.
Defiance was good.
Yes.
No. That was a good game. That was a great MMO looter shooter for sure.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised they haven't tried doing an MMO with Borderlands, to be honest.
Well,
I mean, they already had the PV. They already have the matchmaking element there. Just be like, fuck it, everyone's on the same planet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just got surprised because it's the monetization part of it where you can monetize those MMOs for eons that we've seen.
Right.
And almost don't even change anything. It's the same game, just multi-instance, basically. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of games with some expansions to it, ladies and gentlemen, before we go any further, I have to give a shout out to a certain company / individual who makes amazing games and is releasing yet another part, a supplement for a very well done tabletop game, and that of course is Capers, and the company of course is NerdBurger Games. It is currently it's currently running on KickStarter. It's got 27 days to go, and it's already surpassed its goal, which no surprise. If you have not gotten into Capers, and you are a tabletop person, I highly recommend that you get this. They have the option to buy the core book as well as the supplemental book. And of course, there are a ton of other Caper expansions to, wet your whistle on. And then while you're at it, just go ahead and buy the entire NerdBurger game run, and you could thank me later. Zealeus and I will always have a very, big spot in our hearts for mergers and acquisitions.
Yep.
But Capers is phenomenal. I'm trying to remember what Die Laughing is a fun party game to play. There's just so many NerdBurger games. Too many for me to try to name off the top of my head without having the list in front of me. So I'm not going to do that because I don't want to forget any of their games. So do yourself a favor, go over to Kickstarter, look up NerdBurger Games, and then just, yes, almost all the Kickstarters all the Kickstarters minus the Capers expanded RPG supplement have, of course, stopped, but you can still buy the other pieces and all the other games if you go to nerdburgergames.com, I believe is their website. So just want to give a quick shout out for that. Because Craig is awesome and his games are awesome. So,
indeed,
no complaints there. Now, I was asked a question last week, which of course we unfortunately did not have the show. So I was holding on to the question, and thank God I actually still remembered the question because it's been a crazy 2 weeks. The question that I was asked, and I gave my explanation to this person, but I'm going to do it again, of course, during the show, is how do you personally deal with okay, let me set up this question here. Say there's this big IP that's going to come to movies or to TV for a series or whatever. How do you deal personally with an actor or actress being tagged to a character that you don't think is a good fit?
I mean, in general, it makes me care a little bit less. I think Kevin Hart in Borderlands is probably a good example.
Yes.
Where it's very much like and my understanding is that was actually least of the problems with the movie.
Yeah.
Was like that was not the issue. There are definitely other issues on top of that. So that's not a singular one. But for the most part, like, I guess it doesn't really bother me unless it's like a very glaring one like that. Because a lot of the characters, like you think about like some of the popular franchises over the years, like Resident Evil and Mortal Kombat, hell, the Silent Hills that have kind of had these multiple movies, like the main actors tend to be pretty generic in a way.
Yep.
And it's not the actors, it's the plots that bring down the movies. A great example is Monster Hunter. It's a movie, or it's a video game about fucking hunting monsters. The penultimate Monster Hunter action scene doesn't really even happen. They set it up at the end with like 3 minutes left, and there's like, we're going to fight. And then it cuts to the credits. I wanted to throw my remote at my TV. I was so angry because I'm like, it's finally going to happen. And it doesn't. So it's like, to me, that's more so the issue with video game movies, is that's not the actor choices. I don't even think, like with Borderlands, Kevin Hart would have been the main issue. It's what do they do with the story? And so often it's the bastardizing of the story.
Yeah.
Where it's like you already have some, like, I think I've said this before, like you already have a story or a theme that made that popular in the first place. I know I'm asking a rhetorical question, but why deviate from that in the first place when it was already so effective is where I come from. And I know the reason they do it is because they're big time executives and they have their own take on it because they're Hollywood and you're not, but it still pisses me off because why take on that IP if you're not going to do it justice in the first place and put your own dumbass spin on it? Like, I think to like the first Mortal Kombat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to accuse it of being high art, but it's still bloody entertaining because it was Mortal Kombat. They just fought each other and shit happened and it was great.
Yeah.
Even the new Mortal Kombat's pretty similar, honestly. The new Mortal Kombat's pretty good because they just do that. And that was the problem with Monster Hunters. They made this like weird ass war analogy movie with American soldiers and shit. It was just weird where it's like, where's just have 2 hours of fighting monsters. Who cares about the damn story? Honestly, people would have paid to see that. Instead, you see that time and time again where it's like they take what should have worked and like, we don't need big, complicated movie storylines, particularly for movies.
Yeah.
Like I get with TV shows where you have the full episodes, you can do more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But for movies, just give me, in most video games, they're making a adaptation for, they're action oriented, right?
Mm-hmm.
So show me that action.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. It shouldn't be that hard. Give me a solid hour and a half, 2 hour, balls to the walls action flick. Problem solved.
So and to kind of tag on to what Zealeus is saying, I will fully admit that there are certain times where there's, they'll be like, look, this person has been casted this character, and I'm going, I don't think so, but I agree with Zealeus. I think that at the end of the day, yes, there's definitely some castings that I will never understand, but if Hollywood bastardizes the movie, there's no chance for the person, that actor or actress, to prove me wrong, because it's such a shit fest that even if they're phenomenal, I'm still gonna have, I'm not gonna see why that person was picked in the first place. And as Zealeus was talking about Monster Hunter, and I can basically name all the Transformer movies as well, for some weird-ass reason, we have to put the American military and make that the focal point of the movies instead of the actual IP. Like Monster Hunters, they're hunting monsters with humongous-ass weapons. I mean, that's the game. That's the whole freaking game, is people running around with swords that are like 3 times their height and killing crazy ass monsters, not American soldiers getting sucked through a portal. Or this is, here's me jumping on my soapbox about Transformers. I want a Transformers movie, and I think I'm going to actually get it. The newest one looks like an actual Transformer movie.
There's a new one coming out?
Yeah, it's like an origin story that's got Megatron and Optimus Prime.
Okay.
But the Michael Bay Transformers was like American Army with robots. That's what the movie was. Okay, that's not Transformers to me. I want Transformers with a sprinkling of soldiers. Yes, in the actual like 80s cartoon, there were some soldiers and there were some average kids from the Midwest that help Optimus and Bumblebee and all the other Transformers try to find their way on planet Earth. Or hell, I mean, you look at I will always have a soft spot in my heart for the show. Yes, it was meant for kids. It's absolutely meant for kids. But Transformers Rescue Bots was phenomenal because it was a set of robots that went around. Oh, I can't remember the name of the city now, and it's gonna kill me. I want to call it Griffin Rock. Ooh, that might actually be right. And literally all they do is try to stop the fires or the earthquakes or the whatevers. And that's their mission, is just to protect this city. It's robots doing shit, not American military army people. And oh, by the way, there's a robot attacking, so another robot has to stop that robot. And now back to the military.
Now, the one I was surprised by, which happens to not have any American military on it, was the new Dungeons and Dragons movie.
The
one with Chris Pine.
Okay.
I mean, when I say new, it's now a couple of years.
Well, they're making another one. They're not Chris Pine one, but they're making another Dungeons and Dragons movie.
But now it's Chris Pine?
No, I think it's based off of the cartoon, but live action.
Which,
I think.
I mean, I'm fine with. I'm fairly ambivalent about Chris Pine, to be honest. But the movie worked really well, but they also kept it very Dungeons and Dragons-y.
Yes.
It felt like you were actually watching, a couple bumbling at times Dungeons and Dragons explorers who didn't know what they were doing. And then they figured out what they're doing. But it worked well because as much as you can kind of keep the D&D material, they did a pretty good job of that. Just as long as you aren't playing D&D next, so you can't use the old rule set, then it's fine.
Oh, Jesus. Let's not go down that path, shall we?
No,
I'm sorry. You can't do that spell anymore.
Oh, man. So it can be done well. What I was thinking, I would enjoy seeing a Diablo movie where it's just a class, it's a warrior and a sorcerer and a druid going around and just fighting the hordes of hell for an hour and a half would be entertaining.
In my personal opinion, because I've always have a soft spot for, and I don't know if it's a soft spot, but at one point during this hypothetical Diablo movie, the characters will have to face off against the Butcher.
Oh, 100%. And I agree. It's going to be the Butcher, and it's going to come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's going to be, did you ever watch, what's that stupid car movie on Paramount Plus?
I've not watched anything on Paramount Plus, so
I only had it because of the WrestleMania was on Paramount Plus. It had Anthony Mackie in it.
Oh, no, okay.
Twisted Metal.
Yep. Sweet Tooth.
Yeah, they had Sweet Tooth. That reminds me of what it'd be like with the Butcher, where it's this crazy homicidal maniac coming in and just I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, give me that.
Yeah.
You have to have a shout out somehow to Decker Kane in there.
Stay a while and listen.
That'd be the opening line.
Yeah. That's let me tell you a story. Stay a while and listen while I tell you a story of 3 adventurers that blah, 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 blah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Have Decker Kane right there at the beginning.
Yeah.
I think we're on to something, Zealeus.
We should make our own movie from, we'll call it Hell Inferno.
Hell ruler of hell.
And we have Richard Pine can be our storyteller. We could have the Alchemist instead of the Butcher.
It's good thinking.
See?
It's good thinking.
I think we made this happen.
Would we do the if there was a Diablo? I know now we're going down a rabbit hole, but if there was a Diablo movie, would there be like a secret area filled with cows?
I think it would be fun to kind of have like those little Easter eggs, kind of in them to happen.
Yes.
It's kind of like the the World of Warcraft movie, where you have that one scene where like they're crossing over the bridge, and you hear the Murlocs do their little squeal. And anyone who's played World of Warcraft knows the dread of those fucking Murlocs who somehow kill you no matter what level you are. So like, but that works in movies, right? Where like you don't have to show and go fight the Murlocs in the movie. You just kind of give that little ode. We're like, oh, I get that.
For those who get it, they appreciate it, and for those who don't, it's just another part of the movie, and they just keep going.
Exactly, and that worked well.
Yeah.
So yes, absolutely, you can do those little like Easter egg things without taking the audience out of the story itself, but still do homage to the story.
Yeah.
In the original lore.
Right. Exactly. Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have reached the end of this show. I want to thank everyone for tuning into the Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout. For myself, Charlie, and Zealeus, it's been a pleasure getting to overcome our heads, our mouths, and of course, our hearts. We'll be back next Thursday for another Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout.
Remember, kids, keep on gaming in the free world.
Amen to that, brother.